Hi everybody, welcome to my latest video. It's an absolutely beautiful day out here. The sun is back, my solar power is charging back up, and it's nice just to have some dry, sunny weather after a lot of rain. This video, though, has seen me trapped inside, back in my bathroom prison, where I've been working on the tap. So you'll see in this video whether it all works as planned. And then I get to work also on the carpentry to do with the front of the countertop as well. So there's lots of stuff happening inside, plus I get out on a hike with some friends and go exploring up the Gardenia mountain range, which is just right there, and that was a wonderful time as well. So it's a fun video. I'm just gonna dive right into the work. We're gonna get straight into the tap and then move on from there and watch and see how far I can get. I hope you enjoy this one, and I'll see you again at the end of the video. So there's still a lot of stuff to do on this tap. I need to put some screw holes in the bottom so that I can basically take this off and on when I want to. I don't want to have the tap come off up here because I won't actually be able to screw it off because it's going to be too close to the wall. So anytime I need to remove this in the future, I'll just unscrew the bottom pieces, the bottom piece that I've attached to the bottom of this. I'll unscrew that and the whole thing will be able to come off, and that just kind of future-proofs me a little bit if I have problems with the taps and need to change it out. But before I can attach that on, I have to figure out what to do with the trim. I'd really like to find a way to be able to cut the trim in such a way that I can have all three somehow meeting in the corner like that. So I don't exactly know how to do that, but I'm going to give it some thought and then come back, get it all attached, get that screwed down, get everything attached onto the bottom of the tap, and then finally get this piece in so I can then move on to the sink. So it's not perfect, but it's close enough. The only one that I'm sticking in place right now is this one, and this one here needs a bit of work. So I'll work on these other two later on. Right now, it's all about gluing and nailing this one in place so I can work on getting the tap in finally. So as with many things with this project, it's going to be very time consuming to get this piece of wood on. I'll clear off the glue, and then I can finally at long last, get the taps attached and in. Okay guys, the tap is in at long last. I can't decide if it looks weird or if it looks wonderful. I'm not sure about the stain color. Maybe I'll actually end up staining it the same color as this trim back here eventually. I don't have the screws that you can see, but once the sink is in, you won't see them. And maybe I'll end up replacing them. And as of right now, this is actually just sitting in the top, so I can pull this out if I want to. And that's because I need to test whether everything works. So in a moment, I'm going to turn on these taps and have this here. Keep the tap off and see if anything leaks. And then if nothing leaks, I'll get the tap going and see how it works. But before I do, I haven't been able to install the sink because of two reasons. First of all, I can't find what's called plumber's putty anywhere in Portugal, so that's coming online. And it's lucky I didn't have it because I realized that this drain is actually too short. So while this plug part fits nicely and works well, this isn't long enough and it has to go all the way through the sink and then through the counter and then out into the plumbing below. So I'm gonna need to order something online or go see if I can find something in a shop. And once I get that done, I'll finally be able to install the sink. But in the meantime, I have a handy dandy pot. And right now, let's get these taps on and see what happens. Moment of truth. Cold. Hot. The hot water's hot. The cold water is cold. So I just want to wiggle this out and see what's happening in the attachment that goes directly into the tap. And whether there's any water dripping out of here. It's kind of hard to tell. But I don't feel anything. So I think I'm good. I'm going to leave this for a while. I'll leave the taps on below and see if I notice any water pooling anywhere or anything happening that shouldn't be happening. Anyway, at long last, this tap is finally in and it's finally working. And let me tell you, that was a bit of a mission, but it was enjoyable. And it's always a lot more enjoyable when things actually work as they should. So while I'm a little frustrated that I don't have the pieces I need for the sink, I'm very happy that I realized I had the wrong drain before I actually installed it. That would have been bad. And I'll just have to be patient and wait for the putty to arrive. So things are coming along. I'm really excited to have this pot in place. So I have a spot to wash my face in the morning that's not the kitchen sink. So I think things are looking great. I'm really, really looking forward to figuring out this door underneath and working on the cladding part of that. And then also some sort of a little cabinet at the side to store things as well. And then of course, mirrors and lights and all that will come later. But for the moment, I have a working tap and I really couldn't be happier. But now it's time to head back outside where the sun is now shining, but it's really quite windy and cold. And my plan is to push on with just a little bit more carpentry so I can make the pieces that I need to do this door on the front of my bathroom cabinet. Okay folks, I've cut the pieces, I've got 6, and they mostly fit in nice and tightly. This whole idea is a bit strange, so what I'm gonna do is just get working a little bit, prove my concept, get some of these pieces onto the side, and check in again when I have something else to show you because it is a weird idea and it's a little tricky to explain. So I'll do some work and I'll check in again soon. Okay, I'm back. It looks much the same as it did before. I did end up having to chisel out some stuff up there to make everything fit better. And I've attached the brackets on, and I'm ready to get to work on the rest of it. But before I do that, hello Larry, how's it going? He just seems to be ever present at the moment in the house because it's really cold out there. Hope you're having a good time, little guy. He likes it up there. All right, so I have glue. I've got tiny nails, tiny hammer, and I'm basically going to be lining some pieces up as best I can and gluing and nailing them on over in this direction. So I've added some guidelines, and I won't be putting this piece on yet on the edge because I'll need to chop the door. I'm going to be cutting through here, and then that's going to be where I put the hinges, and that's going to be the part where the door swings open. So I want to leave some space on this area, so I'm starting everything off right about here. So I guess my plan is to glue them and then nail them on. And accidentally I've just dropped this one right in the glue. I'm definitely in a very crammed situation trying to work here. It's absolutely not ideal. It's been quite difficult working in this tiny space, but yeah, I'm slowly getting things done and happy with the results thus far. This part, though, I don't really know how this is going to go, so let's just focus on the work, and yeah, fingers crossed this goes okay. So this is what I'm up to, guys. It's definitely a very ridiculous undertaking. It's going to be a lot of gluing and a lot of messing around with teeny tiny nails and a bunch of measuring as well. So it's going to be tricky, but I feel like it's going to look pretty cool when it's done. But I'm definitely going to need to focus and just put my head down and get to work if I'm going to make any progress at all on this. So here's where I'm at. And I don't know how far I'm going to get, but I'll check in again soon. Hopefully with some more of this finished. I'm back, guys. The chaos is real. There's lots going on. Pieces down there. I've got some clamps on, which I'll explain in a minute. But first, I wanted to talk about these little curves down here. It's all going to be cleaned up with the sander, but I got this cut with my coping saw, which is the first time I've ever used it. So that was kind of a fun experience. And again, it's not exactly accurate, really. It's, it's kind of choppy and weird looking, but I'm hoping to run the sander along this entire thing and tidy everything up at that point and make everything even, or possibly the router, we'll see. So, what am I up to? Over here we've got the clamps, and that's because I was having a hard time getting the pieces lined up in the middle. There's no support in the middle part, it's just air, so I didn't really know how to do that except for the clamps, and I've got glue along that edge. I have a feeling that when I take the clamps off, it's all gonna spring back to the way it was, but I'm hopeful that it's not, that the pieces will stay lined up. And actually, it looks like it has, so this could be a way to do things going forward. This piece isn't yet in, it's kind of just hanging on there with some glue that went on. And there's another piece beside it that I'll put on later on, and that's because I'm going to chop here and here, as I've mentioned, and then that's going to become the door. I feel like this could cause problems. I feel like once I do it this way, the door is actually going to be too tight, and it's not going to want to swing in and out very easily. But I'll deal with that later. The most important thing I wanted to get done at this stage is to get the pieces really nice and close. And I think that having this still attached to the rest of the structure is the best way to do it. So I'm going to get on with it, but I just wanted to show you where I'm at. I've got some lighting down here. It's really crammed. I can only move back so far, so it's difficult to film. Everything's very close. So I'm eager to get going, but before I do, I've realized that this piece I think goes here, But I've now lost the piece that goes in beside it. Oh, maybe it's that one. The whole point of doing it this way, working from one side to the other so that everything can get really, really tight, so you don't need any, so you don't see any of the gaps in between, but not all of these pieces are created equally, unfortunately, so I have to be very careful about making sure I keep the pieces that aren't yet attached separate, so I know that they go there. So, it's very finicky, it's very tricky, but hopefully when it's done, it's worth it. I'm not entirely sure just yet if it will be or not. And I think to get this piece to fit properly, I'm going to actually have to chisel off a bunch here. So it's very labor intensive. I possibly should have taken more care when I did this part. You can see there's sort of a ridge there, and that's because of just the way I routed things. But I definitely wasn't counting on doing this. So as with everything, it's going to take way longer than expected. So I actually ended up finishing off a bit more chiseling. I've attached this thing in, which will allow me to work a little bit more today. And I think I have some glue that still hasn't dried. So let's get one more piece on camera. And then I'm going to put things away and get on with the work. In anticipation of hinges and a drain coming, and then I'll carry on with things after that. So, let's go. So progress has been slow but good. Tomorrow I'm going on a hike. So I'll say goodbye from the bathroom prison that I've been trapped in for ages, and I'll see you tomorrow for an adventure up the mountain with some friends. So this is going to be my next rainy day project, putting a little window and a frame around the door. But for now, the sun is shining, and after being trapped inside working on this thing for so many days, while it's been rainy, I think it's time to go for a hike. So despite the fact that this walk started right beside a really busy motorway, it was fabulous. It snaked up the hill into the Gardenia mountain range, which is where I live on the side of, and there's lots of fabulous hikes all along the range. I'm sort of towards one end of it, but when you travel to the, never eat shredded wheat, when you travel to the west, there's all kinds of amazing little nooks and crannies and trails and stuff to explore. So I'd really love to focus more on that. Today is Sunday, so trying to set aside a day where I try not to work on stuff. It's really easy to just get into the routine where you're always working all the time. If I'm inside, I'll be on my computer. And if I'm outside, I'll be doing something on the land or whatever. So yeah, I need to set aside maybe Sundays or choose a day of the week where I just focus more on non-work things, getting outside, enjoying nature. So the walk was wonderful. It was really nice to spend time with friends, have a lovely lunch. But right now, though I would love to not do any work today and just relax, I need some more pine cones. So I thought I would put my Freedom boots on, which is my wellies. I didn't have these last year, and it really limited what I could do, but now there's no stopping me. I've got the Freedom wellies on. I'm at Sancha's place, and I'm heading into her forest to get some pine cones. So after that couple of hours of hiking, maybe a little longer, a pretty heavy lunch and a couple glasses of wine, I'd sort of just like to have a nap and hunker down for the rest of the evening because it is pretty chilly out here. But I'm curious to see if there's any pine cones in here since the last time I looked. And I figure I might as well do it now because I'm all out. I'm feeling energized and I haven't been in the forest for a little while and I just want to see what's up. And unfortunately, it's not looking like too much is up in here. It looks like about the same number of pine cones as last time I was in here. There were lots up the tree before. I don't know if some other neighbors also come in here and hunt for pine cones or what. But there's not a lot going on in here, so I wonder if this whole little trip into her forest has been futile. So that's disappointing. On the hike, there were loads of them around, and I'm, yeah, seeing absolutely bupkis in here. There is nothing going on. There is a lot of pine needles, though, so I guess all is not lost. I'll collect a couple bags of needles, and then I'm gonna head home, hunker down by the fire, and hopefully get back to work tomorrow on the sink. It depends on what arrives by mail. I've been waiting on the hinges, and I'm waiting on the drain and the plumber's putty, and I can't keep going until I get those. So who knows what tomorrow holds, but I'll say goodbye from this lovely forest. I do really like it in here. It just feels kind of magical. I see pine cones up there. Ah, why won't you fall? But that's okay because I also need pine needles and there's plenty of those around. So I'll fill up a couple bags and then I'm gonna retreat back to my cozy fire and settle in for the night because, as I mentioned, it is really quite cold out here. And yeah, the fire sounds pretty good to me. So I'll see you then. Good morning, everybody. It looks like a beautiful sunny day out here this morning, but it's actually really quite freezing. And the evidence, I think, is in this bucket. Looks like we've got a little layer of ice on there. Don't know how thick it is. Let's see. Oh, it's actually really quite thick. Damn. So it's cold. It was really windy last night. And I'm definitely happy to be working inside. So the fire is on. Everything is warm and cozy. This is my workstation for the next little while as I try to make the piece that's going to go in here. So if I can get that done today, I'll be very happy, and then possibly I'll continue moving on and try to separate the door a little later on as well, which is definitely going to be interesting. I have no idea how it's going to work. You can see I've tied it up a little bit. All the tools have been consolidated because I was going insane with all the mess. But I guess that's just how it is when your house is a building site. So time to park myself in front of this cozy box and get to work. So this glue has definitely seen better days. It became completely impenetrable, so I had to hacksaw the top off. But it looks like there might be some usable glue in the interior of this container. So let's give it a go. So I like how this is going. I'm not massively crazy about the way these are lining up on this side, but perhaps with the sander I can even things off a little bit. I'm not sure. It's all highly experimental. So I'm just going to carry on cladding this part as well. And then before this video finishes, we're going to saw off the door areas and see if this crazy plan of mine is going to work or not. So I have a bit more work to do first, and I'll check in again very soon. Okay, folks, this is where I got to. Things are looking kind of good, kind of weird, kind of crazy. And I've basically attached the panels all the way over to the edge, but you might notice that a few of them haven't been nailed on yet. So I've got a couple of ones there, a couple here that are coming off, and two more over here that are coming off as well. And that's because of the way I'm doing the doors. Basically, I wanted to attach these pieces on while everything was still fully attached, because I wanted the slats, I guess I'll call them, to be as close together as possible. But I'm going to be chopping here, 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 and there, and that's going to basically mean that I can pull these pieces out in theory, and that's going to be what I use to make the doors. It all sounds a little bit crazy. I don't know if it's going to work. As you can see, I'm just still parked in here in this really tiny space, so it's not the most amazing working conditions, but I've been getting on with it, and this is kind of a moment of truth about whether this works or not. So I've got two saws. I don't know which one is a saw of choice. I'll start with this one, and hopefully I can sneak it in here and saw this piece off and then detach the door and then gain access to in there, which I'm going to need to do to actually install the drain. So I have no idea if this is going to work. Let's give it a go. One thing I'm a little concerned about is whether or not after I detach this whole thing, it's all just going to be stuck in there. So I kind of have to think of the angle that I'm cutting on and whether or not everything's been pushed up too tightly. I'm also not sure if the top parts of these pieces have accidentally been glued on to the bottom part where they're not supposed to be glued onto. So sawing is one part, popping this whole thing out is going to be a whole other experience altogether. And I'll be the first person to admit this whole thing seems quite dubious, but I don't know. I think it might just be crazy enough to work. So I feel like I felt that move a little bit, at least on the top part. That's good. A good sign. Let's just make sure the bottom is also completely through. What is it? Got a visitor. Normally Larry and Mikey would jump up here and then jump up there to get out, but I am completely blocking the way. And so this fat fellow doesn't have anywhere to get out. Shall I come open the door for you, sir? All right, he's so demanding. Yes, sir, your wish is my command. Out you go. And while I'm letting him out, I might as well pop out myself because it's a gorgeous evening and I've been mostly trapped inside. So I feel like this is a good time to take a little pause, have a very late lunch / early dinner, and ponder a few things. And I am thinking that perhaps I want to actually sand everything before I take the door off, because once the door comes off, it's not going to be quite as rigid. And I feel like sanding is hopefully going to solve a lot of the issues I have with the slats not lining up and also at the bottom. However, I need to actually have the slats in place to do that, and I can't put them in until I saw the doors. So I'm not sure. Hello again. I'm back way sooner than expected, and that's because I'm ready to take the first door off, and I feel like I want to capture that. Almost ready. I just need to finish this cut here. I've attached another slat on there, and then this is where the hinge is going to be, so it'll open like this. So I really quite like how this is all looking. Once it's sanded and stained, it's gonna, I think, look really cool. However, if I can't get this door thing to work, then the whole idea is kind of rubbish. So let's hope that I can get this piece out nice and cleanly. Let's see if I can get the saw in first. There we go. How can I tell if it's all the way through? It's kind of tricky. I possibly should have left these slats off before I decided to cut this so I could actually reach around from behind. But let's give it a bit more sewing and then a bit of hammering. I think that's fine. So a little gentle tap, maybe from this side. Okay, there we go. So I'm getting a little bit hung up on getting this out, and I feel like if I chop off a little bit more here, which was always sort of my intention, that'll give me enough space to get this door off. Oops. Well, the door's out, so that's good news. So this is all going reasonably well, despite being super slow. It's a little frustrating that I have to wait for the drain and the hinges to come. And I'm not going to sand everything on the bottom and sand it all fully until I have all the final pieces in. And to do that, I definitely want the hinges. So I'm going to call it here on the video. I feel like it's been a long slog just to get to this point, but I'm really pleased with it. I think it looks really cool. And the doors seem like they're going to function. I'll know more soon. But yeah. I'm gonna say goodbye from this one because it's late. I've been working on this for a while. I've been sitting here on the floor for ages. It's cold, and I just want to be cozy in front of the fire. So, I hope you've enjoyed this flurry of activity on the sink. Still more to come, including tiling the bottoms to match with the tiles in the shower. And if I can get a load of clay from some friends, I'll also continue working on the wall there and, yeah, push forward with that. So, I'm enjoying it. It's slow. I hope you're enjoying it too. If you did like the video, please give it a like. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It helps the channel. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.